Welcome to the Silver Linings Play-by-Play. The film Silver Linings Playbook has a lot of intricate interaction between protagonists Pat Solitano Jr. and Tiffany Maxwell, which answers the question, what does happen when you almost maniacally pursue the silver lining? We'll be following the action as it unfolds and analyzing it through the lens of the principles of self-disclosure and nonverbal communication. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Alex. First, we'll go over to Amber on special assignment location to recap the night that Pat and Tiffany first met.
And we're live. You're about to see the first two clips from the Silver Linings Playbook. In this first clip is the initial meeting of Tiffany and Pat at a dinner party.
I'm tired. I want to go.
No. We haven't even finished the salad yet, or the duck. I made the fire and ice cake.
I said I'm tired. Are you gonna walk me home or what?
You mean me?
Yeah, you. Are you gonna walk me home?
You have poor social skills. You have a problem.
I have a problem? You say more inappropriate things than appropriate things. You scare people.
No, I tell the truth, but you're mean.
What? I'm not telling the truth?
When Tiffany is ready to go home, she asks Pat to walk her home. In his confused state, Pat makes accusations towards Tiffany, and to fight back, in defense, Tiffany makes accusations right back at Pat. This is a very awkward situation for the other two at the party. Finally, Pat agrees, and so then you see, going into the next clip, is where they're outside of Tiffany's after Pat walked her home.
How old are you?
Old enough to have a marriage and to not wind up in a mental hospital.
Look, I had a really good time tonight. I think you're really pretty, but I'm married, okay?
So am I.
No, that's confusing. He's dead. Wait, what? What's happening? Oh my God. Hey. If I say to you tomorrow, take my hand, child, come with me.
Tiffany says a harsh comment when Pat doesn't agree to her indecent proposal. She then cries and hugs Pat. Pat is very confused again by her reaction. When Tiffany does not receive the same condolences towards herself, then after the embrace, Tiffany comes out and slaps Pat. These two clips show examples of self-disclosure. We're on page 123 and 124 of our textbook, explain that a hidden area, which is private, confidential information about someone that they don't want to reveal to someone else, is an example of how Tiffany does not want to tell Pat about her life. And then there's also the blind area, where someone else can see information about you that you may not know about yourself. This is an example when Tiffany and Pat are making accusations towards each other at the dinner party. And finally, the nonverbal communication. And this is when Tiffany decides to slap Pat after he doesn't return the same feelings that she does. All right, and we're going to bring it over to Alex. Take it away, Alex.
What do you mean? How am I? What does that mean?
Sort of like me.
Sort of like you? I hope to God she didn't tell Nikki that.
Why?
Because it's just not right lumping you and I together. It's just wrong, and Nikki wouldn't like that. Especially after all the shit you just told me.
You think that I'm crazier than you?
Because well, we're different, I mean.
Oh my God. Oh, you're killing me. You know what? Forget I offered to help you. Forget the entire fucking idea. Because that must have been fucking crazy. Because I am so much crazier than you.
Keep your voice down.
I'm just the crazy slut with a dead husband. Forget it!
Shut the fuck up.
You
Tiffany! Hey, Tiffany!
Hi guys, and thank you for that. The clip we just saw was a perfect example of self-disclosure and nonverbal communication skills. When we look at self-disclosure, what we typically see is people who tell something about themselves or explain their life to them when maybe they normally wouldn't to a particular person. They open up to someone. They self-disclose something important or personal about themselves. When we look at nonverbal examples, we look at staring, eye contact, body gestures, facial expressions is probably a really big one. And what we can see from the video is that Tiffany is self-disclosing things about her past that Pat doesn't seem to like, but that's her past, so it is what it is. When we look at the nonverbal cues that she's doing, we can see that her eye contact is very strong and very attracted to Pat. So she is trying to explain exactly what's happening. Now, a lot of the time, we may think that the crowd or the people that we are around may impact on how we act. As we saw in the dinner scene when Pat and Tiffany were at a friend's house, it was just two other adults in the room. And yes, there was some nonverbal cues going on and gleaming of the eyes, maybe some body movements, but they didn't leave on a very bad note. They left on a sour note. Now, the diner scene, Tiffany left on a very, very angry note, as we can see with her body language. Now, in our textbook on page 106, it states that there are many types of nonverbal communications that actually can be intimidating and lead to violence or behavior that is normally not acceptable. And for this, we have to look at the example at the diner a little closer and see what Tiffany is actually trying to do. Is she trying to inflict harm or violence? I don't think so. She's just very angry, so she's throwing things on the ground and she's storming off. The worst that actually happens in the final thing of that scene is, you know, she flicks Pat off through the window as she leaves, and Pat follows her out, and that is that. We also have to look at exactly how they're talking to each other. The volume and pitch on exactly how someone talks can really represent on what they're trying to say or show you. So if someone's talking in a very loud, aggressive voice, they're probably showing you that they're maybe a little angry and they want something resolved. But if they're maybe talking a little soft and not giving you good eye contact, maybe there's something wrong, and those nonverbal cues should be looked at and action should be taken. As we see this interpersonal relationship grow throughout the movie and more things happen between Pat and Tiffany, they're like a couple of rams headbutting. You know, they start off meeting, not knowing each other very well, and as they get to know each other, more things come out onto the table and they find out more about each other. Like, one's married, one has a dead husband, and one slept around with a bunch of guys at the office. Things happen. So you find out things about someone, and that's exactly what's going on here. But with that, a silver lining is being created. Taking two negatives, turning them both into positives from each other. It's exactly what the Silver Lining Playbook is all about. Now I want to pass it over to Sarah, where she's going to tell you a little bit about the next clip you're about to see. Thank you, guys.
Are we on? Okay. Let's cut right to our last scene that we're going to check out, where we witness that there has been a game-changing turn of events in the relationship between Pat and Tiffany. Pat finally has come to terms with his own deep feelings toward Tiffany. When he tells her of these feelings, Tiffany then learns that her love for Pat is in fact not unrequited. Let's cut right to the scene to check out how the action unfolds.
Hey!
Just leave me alone.
Wait a second.
Please.
I have one more letter for you to read, okay?
What the fuck is the matter with you? Give it to her yourself.
Let me say something. You don't ever have to see me again if you just read it, all right?
This is so fucked up.
Yeah, just read it.
Dear Tiffany. I know you wrote the letter. The only way you can meet my
Crazy was by doing something crazy yourself. Thank you. I love you. I knew it the minute I met you. I'm sorry it took so long for me to catch up. I just got stuck. Pat. I wrote that a week ago.
You wrote that a week ago?
Yes, I did.
You let me lie to you for a week?
I was trying to be romantic.
You love me?
Yeah, I do.
At previous times, when we found Pat and Tiffany running in the middle of the street, it's been Tiffany that aggressively has accosted Pat, usually yelling out, "Hey!" to get his attention and startling him, but then continuing to pursue him. She runs a few feet behind him as they run and they talk. And now, in this turn of events, we see that it's Pat that's pursuing or chasing after Tiffany. This is a 180 in the nonverbal behavior that's shown in the movie, as Pat has a very important message to provide Tiffany and wants to make sure that she's there to receive it. As Joseph Luft explains in one of his principles of the change in interpersonal relationships, quote, "Threat tends to decrease awareness. Mutual trust tends to increase awareness," end quote. As we can see, Pat's overall awareness has increased as he's realized how much he does care for Tiffany. When Pat and Tiffany first met, Pat perceived Tiffany to be a threat against his own objectives to get back together or patch things up with his wife, Nikki. As Pat and Tiffany's relationship grew and they self-disclosed more, got to know each other better, found out things about each other's lives, there was a bond formed of mutual trust that contributed to Pat's awareness increasing, and ultimately Pat realizing that he had very, very affectionate feelings for Tiffany as well. Pat uses this newfound information to communicate to Tiffany through a very powerful nonverbal communication channel, a letter. At the first night that Pat and Tiffany met, after walking home from Ronnie and Veronica's house, Tiffany had laid all her cards out on the table, making known her intentions by inviting Pat to stay with her for the night. After Pat shoots her down, though, we can see that Tiffany tends to hide her feelings for Pat, worried that she'll scare him away if she comes on too strong. However, it's manipulative in the way that she continues to express her feelings through the letters that she forges as being from Nikki and gives those to Pat. As with many acts of deceit, this leaves Tiffany vulnerable to having herself discovered and having her secret unveiled. Fortunately, when Pat does discover that she's been writing the letters all along, he uses this information to find a positive outcome, or a silver lining, and communicates to Tiffany that he feels the same way. He uses a letter as well to get this information across to Tiffany in what he calls trying to be romantic. So, we see how, in this scene, self-disclosure and nonverbal communication really exhibit the change that's taken place in Pat and Tiffany's relationship. Now, back to you guys in the studio.
Wow, we sure have seen the relationship between these two characters undergo a huge change. Throughout the film, these two characters trade off gestures of self-disclosure and nonverbal expression, and in the end, find the silver lining in one another.
Thanks for watching this special edition, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
What? No.